Police in Philadelphia say it's becoming a disturbing trend. Young people using social media outlets and text messages to arrange large gatherings on the city streets.
'Twas the first night of spring, and the hoodlums couldn't wait for another round of flash mob hooliganism.
A violent fight involving dozens of teens. The weekend rampage in South Philadelphia, where teens ransacked.
Following a frightening flash mob incident on South Street this weekend.
Up to my hood and see if you don't see Zombieland. But I refuse to let this be me. I refuse to be left for dead. So on this stage, I take refuge in my mall. With my pencil, I have the greatest arsenal of fire weapons ever assembled by man. And with my notebook, with my pad, I have a grenade specially designed for killing zombies. And with my words, with these words, I have the cure for the infection of the zombies.
You ask a student like what it is that you want to learn and what can we do to make sure that you get everything you want out of your education, then you'll be more accountable to learning. If you want to get students to stop fighting and stop being violent, then address the issues of why students are fighting and being violent. You don't just say, okay, more policing, more cameras, more security guards, that's going to address the issue. Let's talk about counselors. Let's talk about having opportunities and spaces for students to come and meet with people of different cultures that they don't have. If you're in a neighborhood school and most of your school is African American, 55 years at the Brown versus Board, and yet most of your school still looks pretty much the same. So when you get all these things out in the open and challenge people to be critical thinkers, like myself, Muhammad, and Shawan is, then you really get to the roots of climate issues and violence.
We're not just kids that complain and have issues and want to whine about things, but that we actually have issues that other people can understand and should help us with.
First of all, as adults, we have to learn not to be so confrontational. We have to learn that when a young person get upset at us, that we don't say, who you talking to? We have to learn that it's a different world right now. Kids are as traumatized as we are as adults, so we have to learn to say, Johnny, I'm really sorry, I didn't understand what you were saying, even when Johnny is cursing.
If you can show people that you don't have to act as them to respond to something, you're showing how strong you can be, how smart you can be, and how wise you can be, and also how you can think for yourself when you respond to someone in a different way than the way they approached you.
We're trying to make children more of not a criminal, but more of a breathing participant in a global society where they feel free. Criminalize them and they act criminal. And that's just the way it is. If we stop doing that, they'll stop acting that way. Kids rise to the occasion, whatever your expectations are.
There's always a leader in students and young people, but when they're told that they have a voice and told that their opinion matters, they begin to see something in their self that they haven't seen before, which is how I felt. I see a leader in myself that I've never seen before, and that's what the Philadelphia Student Union brought out in me.
When I say justice, y'all say peace. Justice, peace, justice, peace. When I say justice.
We would like to invite you to make the following commitments. To first, reject violence in your actions, words, and thoughts. Second, to bring the community together and identify the root causes of violence. And third, to stand up against injustice.
So what we see in schools is we see that there are schools that are underfunded, wildly underfunded. We see schools that don't have enough qualified teachers. We see schools with like 70% teacher turnover rates. We see schools that don't have enough guidance counselors. We see schools that look like prisons, security guards with guns in the school. We see metal detectors. We see bars on the windows, right? So what we're saying is that all of those things are actually examples of structural violence. And you're never going to really be able to address that interpersonal violence without addressing that structural violence. So how do we make schools into places that are healthy and positive communities where everybody's voice is respected? If we hold that up as our goal, this idea of community building, then we can't go wrong. As long as we keep that ideal in focus, then we're going to be moving in the right direction.
Martin Luther King said that a riot is the language of the unheard. Anyone who's concerned about the issue of violence and young people can come and be part of this campaign. But it's really the young people that are driving the campaign forward.
The youth of America stopped the Vietnam War. They can stop violence in Philadelphia.